This is the moment the financial world has been dreading. Look, for the first time in American history, federal prosecutors have opened a criminal investigation into a sitting chair of the Federal Reserve. We are talking about grand jury subpoenas, allegations of lying to Congress, and the potential indictment of the most powerful man in the global economy. On paper, they say this is about a building renovation gone wrong. But if you read between the lines, this isn't about marble floors or office space. This is a political assassination attempt on the independence of the Federal Reserve. And here is the scary part. If they take Powell down, the money in your bank account is next. Welcome back to the Fiscal Axiom. Let's break down exactly what is happening. Here is the situation. On Sunday night, reports broke that the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. has officially launched a criminal inquiry into Jerome Powell. According to the New York Times, and verified by Powell's own video statement, the DOJ has served the Fed with subpoenas. They are investigating whether Powell committed perjury, specifically whether he lied to Congress last June. Now, the official subject of the probe is renovations. The Federal Reserve is currently undergoing a massive overhaul of its headquarters. We verified the numbers, and we are talking about a project estimated at $2.5 billion. Critics, including allies of the president, claim the project is gold-plated, filled with luxury amenities, and grossly over budget. When asked about this in June 2025, Powell told the Senate Banking Committee that there were no special elevators or rooftop pleasure gardens. Prosecutors are now alleging that he misled them about the scope of this project. But pause for a second. The Department of Justice is threatening to indict the head of the central bank over building permits and elevator blueprints? Does that sound right to you?
Really?
Or does it sound like a pretext? To understand the real reason this is happening, you have to look at the calendar. For the last 12 months, the White House has been screaming for aggressive interest rate cuts. But Powell held the line. He said the data didn't support cuts yet. He refused to pump the economy just to make the administration look good. He refused to bend the knee. Powell knows exactly what this is. In his statement responding to the probe, he didn't mince words. He said the threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Fed refusing to follow the preferences of the president. This is the nuclear option. By launching a criminal probe, the administration is effectively trying to force Powell to resign or face jail time. It creates a constitutional crisis regarding the separation of powers. The US dollar is the world reserve currency because investors trust that the Fed isn't a political puppet. If the president can simply arrest the Fed chair when rates aren't low enough, that trust evaporates. But here is the twist. The reason this attack might actually work is that the Fed's reputation is already in the gutter. The administration isn't attacking a fortress, they are attacking a house of cards. Just a few months ago, in late 2025, we had the Adriana Kugler scandal. A Federal Reserve governor resigned in disgrace after it was revealed she and her husband were trading stocks like Apple and Caterpillar during Fed blackout periods. Powell denied her an ethics waiver, and she walked, but the damage was done. It painted a picture of a Federal Reserve that is out of touch, elitist, and playing by its own rules. So when the DOJ comes out today and says, we are investigating Powell for lying about misuse of funds on a $2.5 billion renovation, the public isn't defending the Fed. The public is angry. And the administration is weaponizing that anger to take control of the money printer. The market reaction has been immediate. Gold is spiking. The dollar is shaking. Why? Because the market is pricing in a world where the central bank is no longer independent. So what happens next? If this criminal probe succeeds in forcing Powell out, we are entering what economists call the Turkey scenario. In Turkey, whenever a central banker refused to lower rates, the president fired them. The result? Rates went down, but inflation exploded to 80%. The currency became worthless. If Powell is removed, the White House will likely install a loyalist, a shadow chair who will cut rates immediately, regardless of the inflation data.
In the short term, the stock market will probably melt up. Your 401k might look fantastic for about 6 months. But in the long term, The bond market, the people who actually lend America money, will revolt. They will demand higher yields to hold U.S. debt because they know the Fed is no longer fighting inflation. It's fighting for political survival. This triggers a debt spiral. If the world loses faith in the independent dollar, the cost of everything you buy, from gas to imported electronics, goes through the roof. We are talking about sacrificing long-term stability for a short-term political sugar high. And we cannot ignore the elephant in the room: the Department of Government Efficiency, or D.O.G.E. The narrative being spun right now is that this isn't a political hit job. It's an audit. Prominent voices, including Elon Musk, have been railing against the Federal Reserve structure for years. They point to that $2.5 billion renovation as proof of unchecked bureaucracy. They are asking, why does a bank need a palace when the national debt has just exploded past $38.4 trillion? This is brilliant marketing for the prosecution. By focusing on the spending, the luxury elevators, the marble floors, they get the public on their side. It makes it hard for anyone to defend Powell without looking like they support government waste. But make no mistake, you don't impanel a grand jury over elevator budgets unless you want the guy at the top in handcuffs. This is a calculated move to dismantle the current leadership of the Federal Reserve using efficiency as the battering ram. We are in uncharted waters. Never before has a president and the Justice Department openly declared war on the Federal Reserve chair like this. Jerome Powell has lawyered up. He is refusing to resign. He is ready to fight. This standoff will define the U.S. economy for the next decade. Either Powell survives and the Fed retains its independence, or he falls and the White House gains total control over the money supply. I'll be tracking every court filing and every market move as this develops. If you want to stay ahead of the chaos, make sure you are subscribed to the Fiscal Axiom. Don't let them devalue your future while you aren't paying attention. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.